Let's go ahead and move into the matchup. Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco. We got Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. And I kind of combined the two. I pretty much wrote it up just talking about each separate team because I'm not really talking about the matchup per se. I'm kind of just talking about each team individually. So the Seahawks right now are currently favored -4.5 here. Kind of think that's a little low at the moment. It opened at 3.5. It's went up a point. So it is 4.5 at the moment. This was a matchup that was roughly Super Bowl 49, if I remember correctly. In 2015 was the last time these two franchises met. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and hit on the Patriots first because they were the most intriguing one for me. What an impressive season from Mike Vrabel, company, Robert Kraft, and everyone. Just what a phenomenal season. Nobody saw this coming. I love using this analogy or this idea of speaking rather, that if you were to ask me going into the season, 2025-2026 season, and you had me to guess the Patriots record, guess if they made the playoffs, and I would have looked at their schedule, I would have probably said, yeah, they could make the playoffs as like a 7 seed, but I definitely wouldn't have had them winning the division. I definitely would have gave that crown to Josh Allen. But this is a team who had an easy schedule. You had a skeptical quarterback in Drake May who was going into year 2. Last year, he didn't wow you. You really didn't get a sense of Drake May was going to transition into this type of player this season because he didn't even start last year. They were starting, who was it they started? The Patriots started in favor for him. Jacoby Brissett, I think it was. But, so you had that going on, and you had a questionable roster and a head coach, Mike Vrabel, who we didn't really question Mike Vrabel, but how is this whole dynamic going to change? You're talking about a Mike Vrabel who you're not coaching a Titans team that you had no emotional ties to. We're talking about a Mike Vrabel team head coach Mike Vrabel, that has emotional ties to the franchise because he played for them and won a Super Bowl with them. That's a whole different dynamic than coaching for a team that you never played for. So there was a lot of question marks revolving that. And we got to give credit to Mike Vrabel. We got to give supreme credit to Drake May. And most importantly, supreme credit to Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft and his ability to move off Gerard Mayo last year. I've said it already, but I'm going to restate it again, beating a dead horse here. He's been on the record saying that was a big decision for him. That was a big financial decision to move off of a head coach. He said he lost a lot of money, but man, does it seem to pay off. You got rid of Bill Belichick 2 years ago after going 3-14. Last year under Gerard Mayo, you won your first game of the season, and it kind of felt like, Patriots might be back. But they go on again to be 3-14. And even in the beginning of this year, you lose to the Raiders, you lose to the Steelers, and it was kind of like you felt like the same thing was going to happen again. But we got to give credit to Robert Kraft for getting Mike Vrabel, a guy who's been to an AFC Championship game with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. If you went to an AFC Championship with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, the skies is the limit with a guy like Drake May. And Josh McDaniels, got to give him credit too. He really, for some reason, just loves being an offensive coordinator. Head coaching thing has never worked out. I know he's been the head coach for the Raiders. I know he was a coach previously for another team. I just cannot quite remember who it was. But we know that his head coach, I want to say it was the Broncos. But we know that his stint as a head coach has just been absolutely abysmal. But when it comes to developing quarterbacks, he had Mac Jones as a Pro Bowl caliber player. And after he left, Mac Jones looks like he forgot how to play quarterback. Granted, Mac Jones played pretty good under Kyle Shanahan, but that's Kyle Shanahan. So obviously done that, and he developed Tom Brady, the best quarterback of all time. So with all of that put in consideration, even the roster, and I've said this multiple times, like this roster is nowhere near the caliber out of a lot of teams in the AFC. Out of the teams that are eliminated currently right now in the AFC, I would have took the Chargers roster over the Patriots, and the Patriots beat them. I would have took Denver's roster over the Patriots, and the Patriots beat them, granted, without their starting quarterback in Bo Nix. The Houston Texans might have the argument because they have a super, super stout defense. Offensively, they have a lot to be desired, but you can make the argument. And even the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars, from top to bottom, have a better roster than what the Patriots did. And even going into this matchup in the Super Bowl, there's without a shadow of a doubt, everybody with a right mind would say, yeah, Seattle from top to bottom has the best roster. But with all that put in consideration, the idea that the New England Patriots are representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, it's just absolutely phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It shows how a well-oiled machine and a well-run organization the New England Patriots really are. Shows how great of an owner Robert Kraft is, the ability to pivot off of a head coach like that, even pivot off of a guy in Bill Belichick who you won 6 Super Bowls with. You get rid of him. Tom Brady isn't your quarterback no more. And in a matter of 7 years, you're already back in the Super Bowl. That's phenomenal. You move off of your Hall of Fame quarterback, going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. As we stated before, should have been Hall of Fame head coach, first ballot Hall of Fame coach in Bill Belichick. You move off those guys. And in 7 years, you move off of Tom Brady. You even draft Mac Jones, draft the quarterback. You move off of him too. You have a new head coach, Gerard Mayo. Move off him too. Draft a new quarterback, get a new head coach, and in their first year together, they're representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. That is just a testament of how well of a coach Mike Vrabel is, how good of a player potentially, and that Drake May could be under the stewardship of Josh McDaniels. And then most importantly is a testament of Robert Kraft and how he's a phenomenal owner. I know Robert Kraft is currently not in the NFL Hall of Fame, if I remember correctly, but without a shadow of a doubt, I think he should be. He's one of the best owners that has been a part of this game. And I don't say this lightly. He's a better owner than what Jerry Jones has been. As much credit we give to Jerry Jones and the crap that he's been through and the stuff we learned through the documentaries, what Robert Kraft has been able to do is just phenomenal. He's been unselfish. He's let everything go behind the scenes. You don't really hear from him much. And he won 6 Super Bowls in a manner of a 20-year dynasty. And who knows, we might be on the presence of a new one. Now, going into this matchup next Sunday, it's not an easy one. It's a pretty daunting task. This is a very, very good Seattle Seahawks team. But even if they don't win, it's just the idea that you did all this with all of those question marks surrounding your franchise and your team. You got to be pretty confident if you are a fan and if you're even in the building for the New England Patriots. Super bright future ahead with all that in consideration. Now let's move to the Seahawks. They were pretty similar to the Patriots in many of ways, but they are a whole lot more dominant force than the Patriots. Just pure dominance. They had a harder schedule and division in comparison to the Patriots. They also had a skeptical quarterback who one can argue might have been more skeptical than Drake May. And in the final weeks of the season, they just established their dominance. Now, it pertains to the harder schedule. It was the hardest division in football. You had the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks. All 3 of them respectively made the playoffs, and all of them had 12-plus wins. Super hard division. And granted, the Cardinals, they didn't end the season great, but they were like 2-0 to start out the season, and they had a couple good players, so they weren't an easy out, especially when Kyler Murray was quarterback at the time. And even Jacoby Brissett was playing some good football here or there. But it definitely was a harder division. We just thought about that. Harder schedule in comparison to the Patriots because the Patriots had the easiest schedule in the NFL. And they had a skeptical quarterback. We're talking about a guy in Sam Darnold. I just got done talking about him on Monday, giving him his flowers. Let's be honest. We're talking about a guy who thought his career was over. He thought he was going to have his LinkedIn profile ready. The Jets got rid of him. Didn't know if he was ever going to be the quarterback people thought he was going to be. Then he goes to Carolina. Stinks it up some more. And then he takes the bright lights away from him at the quarterback, starting quarterback role. Then you go to San Francisco. You be a backup quarterback, learn under Kyle Shanahan. I want to say he done that for maybe a year or two. And then you go to the Minnesota Vikings after that. And you get back in that starter spotlight, and you led the team to a 14-win record. Absolutely phenomenal. But in the last couple games that he needed to be great to be the number 1 seed, he didn't do that. And then was a first-round exit because of his poor play in the playoffs. So going into this season, there was a whole lot of question marks with Sam Darnold. A lot of people really called the Seattle Seahawks crazy for investing in Sam Darnold and pivoting away from Geno Smith. Does John Snyder, is he not laughing at everyone now after all the crazy claims that were being out there said about him and his bizarre move to not only move off of Sam Darnold, not move off of Geno Smith, but you also moved off of DK Metcalf, who was a Pro Bowl caliber player. Great player. A little overrated, but he's a pretty good player. He's a good wide receiver. A lot of teams would be questioning themselves, pivoting off of a guy of his caliber. But he did. They felt like Jackson Smith and Jigba was the guy to be the number one role, and obviously they hit a home run on that, and they just have players everywhere. So just from across the board, from top to bottom, this roster, this team, they're a whole lot more dominant force than what the Patriots have been all year. But the question going into this game is, can Sam Darnold replicate the performance that he had in the NFC Championship game? We know that Sam Darnold was firing on all cylinders. That's one of the best football games he's played in his career. Even with a oblique injury, he was on time. He did not make the big mistakes, the back-breaking mistakes, turning the ball over. And he scored a significant amount of points, 31 points. And he was the ultimate reason why the Seahawks beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game. Because the defense did not show up like I thought they were going to. Can the defense play better going forward? I think so. Obviously, the Patriots do not have the same caliber of offensive firepower that the Los Angeles Rams have. But that is going to be the ultimate question going in for Seattle. Is Sam Darnold going to double down on the success that he had in the NFC Championship game? I don't see a reason why he can't do that. I honestly do not see a major difference from playing in Levi Stadium to your home stadium. Obviously, you get the advantage because it's your home crowd. It's the 12. It's the hardest place to play in the NFL. But you're going to be playing in a stadium that you're very comfortable playing in. Heck, you just played there probably four weeks ago. So you have that type of advantage. It's a place that Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are going to be very familiar playing at. But I know the Patriots fans are going to travel well. I know they're all the way slam on the other side of the coast. But I know they're going to travel really well. So there's going to be some Patriots fans in the building. But I really do favor the Seahawks in this game by a landslide. Both teams, very interestingly so, had similar storylines to themselves. There was a stat that came out a couple of days ago that said, betting-wise, this was one of the most unlikely odded matchup in the betting world. Super, super phenomenal to think about it that way. So great stuff to see. Cannot wait for the matchup. I think it's going to be a far more interesting game than a lot of people make it out to be. But do I see a scenario where Seattle will win by 10 points? I do. I hope Mike Vrabel and company will shock me. I think Mike Vrabel are going to have the guys up and ready to go. But I'm really, really leaning Seattle here, and I will not be surprised if they win and cover the spread at -4.5. It'll be interesting to see how this line moves and sways in the next couple of days, even in the final days leading up to the game next Sunday.